Welcome to Days at Dogwood Canyon, a nature podcast brought to you by Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center in Cedar Hill, Texas. This is a podcast that will take you into our 200-acre wildlife preserve in the heart of the DFW Metroplex. Take a quick weekly break with us and get outside with the fresh air, the trees, and of course, the birds. My name is Kiersten, and I'm Center Coordinator, Community Programs here at Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center. Welcome, listeners, to our Days at Dogwood Canyon podcast. This is a podcast about nature, birds, plants, and us. We will talk about how we all rely on each other to live our best lives. We're starting February off with a native plant that will be coming up soon. The Troutlily, Erythronium albidum, also known as white troutlily, white dogtooth violet, white fawn lily, and adder's tongue. It definitely looks like a lily, but not a fish or a snake's tongue. I do know where the dogtooth name comes from, and that is the root of the plant. It's called a corm, the root of the plant, and it looks like a dog's tooth. So a corm is a short, fleshy underground stem that produces roots from the bottom and a stem that leads to leaves and flowers from the top. I'm not sure where all the other interesting common names come from, but one thing is for sure, you won't forget it, whatever name you choose to call it. This little flower is native to Canada, from southern Ontario down through the United States to eastern Texas. It can be found commonly in 27 different states, and it will be coming up very soon. These lovely little lilies can bloom from February to May. Now, when I say little, it's not just something to imply how cute they are. They are cute, but trout lilies are tiny. The plant itself will usually be under a foot tall with only an inch wide flower. The elliptical leaves will stay close to the ground after they have emerged and are mottled green and maroon color most of the time. Sometimes that can differ. The blooms are typically white, but they can have a bluish or purplish or pinkish hue. Petals and sepals are typically bent backwards, exposing the brown stamens. There will be sterile plants and fertile plants. Those that grow with only one leaf are sterile, while those that grow with two leaves are fertile. And both versions of this plant will grow near each other. Now, these are perennials, meaning they grow back every year, but they will recede below ground in between blooming seasons, and the only thing there will be the corm. They will typically bloom from February to May, and they will be one of the very first flowers blooming after the cold season. Here in Texas, it often flowers at the same time as the redbud trees and wild plum trees. So if you have a redbud in your yard and you see it start blooming and you know that you might have some trout lilies around, go looking for them. You will find these lilies most often in low deciduous woods, thickets, floodplains, and prairies. They like shade to part shade and will proliferate in deep, humus-rich, loamy soils, but will do just fine no matter the acidic levels or the dryness of the soil. Just like a lot of natives, they adjust well to the variable Texas weather. Where can you find trout lilies at Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center? This is also a when and where question. We will see the first lilies coming up in late mid-February-ish, with an abundance blooming in late February and April. Now, this is, of course, if the feral hogs have not eaten them all. They'll dig down and they'll eat up those corms. But some of them do survive the rooting mammals, and we usually have some blooming every year. They are most abundant on our West Loop Trail near the bridge that starts the ascent to the top of the canyon. Keep an eye on our event page because we always offer a trout lily guided tour as soon as we see these little darlings begin to sprout. Now, listeners, I hope to see you all out at Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center this winter looking for the trout lily.